The 2-year-old Anna Thorpe was playing at the edge of the woods near her home in Dunbar, Pennsylvania, US on Friday, May 5th, 1950. Anna's mother was inside the house when she heard a scream coming from the direction of Anna. She ran into the backyard but couldn't find her. She immediately yelled the child's name and started searching the area with 2 other older brothers of Anna. When they didn't find anything, they called the authorities. By the next morning, hundreds of searchers were combing the area looking for the little girl. Most of the searchers were only going as far as 1 mile since they didn't believe Anna could go farther because of her age. But some groups decided to search much farther. About 24 hours after she disappeared, a group of searchers found the girl 3 miles from her residence, tucked under a blackberry bush. The girl was naked except for 1 shoe. Her sweater and dress were lying on the ground near her. Anna was taken to the nearby physician who stated she had not been molested and only had some bruises. The doctor said she's almost in a perfect condition, which was weird considering the amount of distance that was covered by her. Now, the area that Anna was found is separated by tens of picket barbed wire and stone fences from the residence. The police took the girl's clothes for further investigation, since they couldn't believe she reached her location by herself. Bart Schleyer was a 49-year-old outdoor man who was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, Canada. His father used to be an eager hunter who took Bart in hunting adventures, which caused the boy to be hooked on hunting. Bart was graduated in Montana University with a master's degree in wildlife biology. He wrote his thesis about bear activities and how they reacted when confronted by humans. Bart later on worked for a grizzly bear study and learned live bear trapping skills. Later in life, he became the world master of luring bears into traps. Many professionals believed he knew more about bear behaviors, tracking and luring them to traps than anyone in the world. He used to walk for 8 to 12 hours in thick bushes in the woods that had no trail to study bear behaviors before going back to his cabin. Once he was home, he used to do all kinds of exercises such as push-ups and squats to strengthen himself. In 2002, he moved to Yukon Wildlife in Canada. He was interested in bow hunting sheep and moose. At this point, Bart had been in most of the continents and had hunted most big games with his bow. He was an experienced hunter. He found bow hunting much more exciting than firearm hunting since he had to get close to his prey and be super stealth about it. In September 14, 2004, Bart arranged for a float plane to take him to Red Lakes in Yukon, Canada. The lake is 110 miles east of Alaska border. This lake is isolated from the highway by a river and travelers cannot get to the lake unless they fly in. Bart was dropped off close to the lake with his gears and supplies. He had an inflatable boat with him as well, so he could go around the lake. Rick Fernall was a fellow who spent 25 years as a wildlife biologist of Yukon Territory. He didn't know why Bart wanted to go to Red Lakes since there aren't much wildlife around the lake and there are much better spots to fish. Bart had scheduled his float plane to pick him up on September 28. The pilot arrived at the lake, pulled up to Bart's camp and was confused about what he found. Bart's tent looked to be knocked down, but the pilot was not sure by what. Near the tent, he found Bart's backpack with his bear spray, radio, and a knife. There was no sign of Bart. The pilot yelled for him, but there was no response. The pilot thought if Bart had left the tent, he would take his backpack. The pilot left the area and informed the police. The police had a limited role in the search for Bart at the beginning. They did a flyby over Red Lakes, and after not finding him, they stopped. Bart's friends arrived at the scene and started looking around, and they found his inflatable boat. 60 feet inland from the boat, they found a bag full of supplies. Close to the bag, there was Bart's bow and arrows leaning on a tree as if somebody put them there. The bag of supplies wasn't touched, and it was as if he or somebody was sitting on it. It appeared as he was calling moose from that location, so they continued their search. A short distance away, they found a face mask with a small amount of blood on it. At this point, the search party decided to call police to come to the scene one more time. On October 3rd, 2004, 5 days after Bart missed his plane, the officers arrived at the lake in mass in an effort to find Bart. 60 yards from where the bow was found, they found a skull and a few teeth. They also found a pair of pants, a camera, and few small bones. The teeth later on were identified as Bart's. Most investigators would believe a grizzly bear killed the man, but there were too many strange circumstances against that belief. For starters, Bart was an expert in grizzly bear behaviors and wouldn't let himself to get caught. There was lots of bear feces on the ground. Different samples of these feces were sent to the lab, and they didn't find any clothing in the feces, which baffled all the investigators. Since when bears eat people, they eat everything, from the clothes to jewelry, and anything you are wearing goes inside the bear and comes out later. It was odd that Bart's pants was at the scene, as if he removed them or they came off themselves. Most of the clothing that Bart was wearing was never found, even after an extensive search of the area. Bears usually bury their prey in the ground for a later meal, but there was no sign of bloody ground around the lake from dragging the body. The other issue was there was no sign of a struggle anywhere in the camp or close to where his bow and clothes were found. It seemed nothing was disturbed. It was a calm sight. Several investigators later on stated Bart's death was a mystery, and the idea that a bear killed him doesn't make sense. Those close to Bart stated he would have gone down with a struggle. His friends stated Bart was in a really good shape and he would fight for his life. One of the last items that searchers found was Bart's cap and balaclava he was wearing just 60 yards from the bow. There was no blood on them and no indication that something bad happened. Another strange thing they found was there was no punctures or sign of biting on the balaclava, which is unusual because bears normally bite the head and the neck. There was no sign of biting on the skull that was found earlier either. Investigators found it hard to believe an animal would kill Bart but not touch his bag of supplies that was found in the scene or travel half a mile to his camp to consume the rest of his food. Based on what they found in the campsite, such as food consumption and other signs, they believed Bart had been alive at the campsite just for one night. When the biologist Rick Fernell was asked to share his thoughts on Bart's disappearance, he stated it was the strangest case in all of the 25 years that he spent in the wildlife. It was his belief that bears don't consume people in that area. He also said if the Yukon conservation officers would find any people-eating bear in the area, they would hunt him down and kill the bear. Although they didn't do that for Bart's case. Bart was in tune with nature since he spent most of his life in the woods. The man even made his own bow and arrows to hunt. It's obvious from the scene that Bart didn't feel he's in an immediate danger since his bow was leaning against a tree. His pants were off his body, but not torn or shredded. The idea that Bart removed his own pants in an area which is known for its bug activities seems unlikely. But what happened to Bart in Red Lake remains a mystery. On July 23, 1986, the Hillier family went to a vacation with their 2-year-old daughter Marie to their cabin at Horn Lake on Vancouver Island, Canada. A steep rocky road runs in front of the cabin which goes downhill, and the road continues behind the cabin that goes uphill. The day after they reached the cabin, Marie went outside the cabin and vanished. The parents and grandparents looked for the child but couldn't find her. They contacted the authorities and a massive search was immediately started. People were yelling her name, driving the road, but she was nowhere to be found. There was around 400 people searching for Marie. The authorities brought canine dogs to the scene, but they couldn't pick up a scent. At a rare event, they brought in airplanes with infrared scanning equipment to look for body heat in the area, but they didn't find anything. After a week of searching and not finding anything, her grandfather posted a $25,000 reward for her return. The parents were interviewed later and they stated Marie doesn't like water and she doesn't wander. They believed something or someone took the girl. The formal search was terminated after 10 days. On August 19th, 4 weeks after Marie's disappearance, 2 men were scouting for hunting location on a steep hillside 3.5 miles from Hillier cabin. They thought they saw something under a fallen log. They went closer and found the body of Marie. The body was recovered by the authorities and was given to the parents. When they interviewed the mother, she stated she refused to believe Marie walked up a mountain to her death. She said there is no way. It's hard to believe the girl climbed up the rocky road behind their cabin to get to where they found her. Researchers show that children who go missing always walk downhill and not uphill. The searchers were at the area within 3 hours and they couldn't find her. And why the plane with the infrared equipment couldn't locate the girl? These are the questions we will never have answers for.